Welcome to Saturday's Warrior. We're coming to you live right after the BYU-Cincinnati game. If you can even call it a game, it was a complete beatdown there by the end by Cincinnati on BYU. If you're here joining me, honestly, I don't know why. I guess you're also a glutton for punishment or just as frustrated as I am, because at this point, I don't even know why to come on and do these live reactions at this point, because it's all been said and nothing's been changing. Really, the same result night in and night out. Even when BYU was winning games, even when they were going toe to toe with some of the top teams in the conference and in college basketball, it was still the same story. It was these slow starts. It was the inconsistency. It was the lack of help from the role players. And Richie going down has just seemed to completely send this team into a spiral. I have no idea how they beat Iowa State last week. I don't know. I just don't see a path for this team to much more success. And you got one more game. You got a home game this season, and or one more game in the season. Go at home against Texas Tech, but Texas Tech just lost tonight to TCU, so they're obviously going to be mad. They're going to be hungry, and we all know how much luck BYU has had against Tech lately. So I don't have high hopes for that game. I mean, earlier in the season, it was one thing when it was like, okay, BYU is not as good as some of the teams ahead of them. They're still gelling, but when they put it all together, we've seen how they've been able to come back. Just give them time to kind of figure some things out. Not only has that not happened, they've regressed. They've gone backwards. They've figured less out. And without Richie Saunders, who is the backbone of the team, he is the identity of this team, or at least what this team aspires to be. He is the energy guy. He is a guy who can score. He is a guy who will hustle. Did he get sometimes beat on defense? Yeah, guess what? They all are. But he was always giving you the effort and that energy and that tenacity that this team just seems to lack. You'll see it at moments. You'll see stretches of it. But by and large, this team just does not have it. Wise Gamora, hey, thanks for joining. Yeah, Richie Saunders is irreplaceable. Absolutely. He is an all-time great, one of my favorite BYU players all time, and maybe any sport. He's just up there, definitely in basketball. I've just enjoyed watching him so much, and I liked him. Everyone did. This isn't like I'm not trying to claim like I saw something nobody else saw, but like he was a fan favorite when he was just an energy guy off the bench, and then he became a true star, but still brought that same level of energy and that same grittiness that everybody fell in love with. And so losing him is just detrimental to this team. I mean, it's weird to say this, but out of the big three, if you had to lose one of them, it was almost the worst. Now, obviously, you can't lose AJ, but you didn't have another point guard behind Rob Wright, so you can't really lose him either. But Richie, I'd argue, in many ways, is more important than either one of them. I feel like they could have figured it out without them. Having said that, the rest of it, this team just cannot figure it out on defense. One of the bright spots is Kostic. He has been playing well. And man, when you watch him play and he's running down the court, he looks, just with his poofy hair and just everything about him, I'm just like, is this a BYU player from the 80s? Is probably what I would have guessed. But man, he's really bringing a lot of energy. He's giving a lot of people. He's kind of the one lone bright spot on this team right now that people are kind of clinging on to. Obviously, outside of AJ being AJ, but even then, whenever there's a big miss on defense, it felt like someone getting wide open for three. More often than not, it felt like he was involved in the play. So either he really knows what he's supposed to be doing and everybody else is getting lost, or he just gets completely put in the ringer and doesn't know where he's supposed to be on some of those plays. So I don't know. And that's supposed to be, one of the guys that we're excited about. So let me see here. Sorry, I'm trying to find my screen. I had my stats up. But looking at this, I mean, even AJ DeBonsa, high usage, is 7 of 21, 1 of 8 from 3, only 8 of 11 free throws, which isn't terrible. But when your bread and butter is going to be a guy that gets to the line a lot, I really, really, really want to see you getting in the at least 80% range. And I did some quick math, and I think that's in the 70s. So not he's not far off, but got to be a little bit better. And then nobody else. I mean, Kaba, I guess you don't expect a lot from him from free throw. Rob at least hitting his, but 3-pointers, I mean, 29% just isn't going to get it done. And what's crazy is Cincinnati is a team that, from what I understand, and this wasn't my own stat, I got this from Church Ball Podcast, but they are a high volume 3-point shooting team, which 23 tonight. BYU actually shot 24, but they hit more, not way more, but 10 versus BYU 7. But everyone seems, but they're a low percentage, high volume. But everyone seems to have a good night against BYU. It's the people just get wide open, and they got called out several times by the commentators on the feed tonight. They were just saying, oh, nobody stepped out to guard him. Oh, guys got lost. Both of them stepped off, went to roll with the other player and left him wide open, and just time and again. And so it's the same song and dance. We're not seeing changes. Kevin Young went with Boop in the starting lineup. We saw him go with the small ball for a while. It tried some different things, and it just nothing's really working. And I don't know what else to say at this point. I mean, they kept talking about Cincy getting another quality win in their resume with this beatdown at BYU, but is it really a quality win anymore? I don't think it is. It doesn't look like a quality win. BYU just is not a good team. They just happen to have a very, very, very good player, possibly the best in all of college basketball. Rob Wright is a very solid player, but man, he leaves me scratching my head at times. And so, and then the rest of the cast, like there's moments we see a few things, but just they cannot put it all together. All right, what do we got here? This team is broken. Absolutely. Injuries are a factor, sure, but I don't think that is the main reason we're losing. I agree. We look totally lost on defense, and our offense looks stuck in the mud for long stretches. Yeah, you nailed it. You don't have to be, in ESPN. Nah, that's a bad example. But you don't have to be a basketball analyst to see all of this stuff that's going on with this team. It just there doesn't seem to be any cohesion with this team on offense, which is supposed to be our lone bright spot. But you look at these last couple games. Let's see. Only, 68 tonight. Couldn't even crack 70. And earlier in the week, or I guess last week now, it was 71 against West Virginia. And these are teams that are more defensive teams, fine, but then you're letting them go ahead and score tons of points. And you got beat down by UCF. I mean, these are teams that it's like the other teams that entered the conference with us, UCF, Cincy, like those are teams that BYU's just owned. And I hate letting these teams and these fan bases get one up on us. And in a major way, this is just gutting. I don't know. Like we lost to Houston. Well, Oklahoma State was bad. Lost to Houston. That's understandable. But then it looked like there was some fight coming back. Baylor, Colorado, you lose Richie, but find a way to win that anyway. Arizona, okay, obviously we're not there yet, but, kind of started fighting back. Maybe there's hope. Iowa State, yeah, beat them down. Okay, maybe we are figuring some things out. Arizona's kind of a different team from Iowa State. Maybe we got this. And after that, it's just, nope, we've just fallen off. And I just don't see it. BYU's had some things in the conference go their way with certain teams losing and kind of helping pave the way for the Big 12 tournament. And then BYU goes and does things like this. It's just not, like you said, it's broken. This team is broken. And I don't know what the solution is because they've tried a lot of different things. And I don't know. It's on everybody at this point. There's just really no solution. I don't know what they have left to do. All right. Name one quality player besides AJ and Rob and occasionally Kaba. Oh, man, and Kaba, like, he was so much better last year. It's just that just goes to show you this team. Nothing is in cohesion. When we talk about the offense, it is so forced. It's so stagnant. On those few plays, like when Moo hit that three today, it is because the ball was swinging. It was in motion, and nobody was forcing things. It was very natural within the play. And it went down. It's when these guys are forcing up these shots. Case in point, Kostic, which everyone loves, he comes running down the court and just jacks up a three. Crazy. AJ goes in for a great rebound, tears it down, and then again passes out. You're moving fast pace, flow of the offense, and he drains the three. We got to create more of those. It's got to be this a little bit more fast paced, but our team just doesn't have it. And sometimes when we do have these breakaways, some guys try to do too much. And in the West Virginia game, we saw that too. Guys, it's like, you have AJ, pass it to him. Don't go do it. And then AJ has it, and he passes it up, and it gets, I believe that was a turnover there. And speaking of turnover, AJ, how many did he have tonight? I mean, as much as this team relies on AJ, let's see here. 5 turnovers, man. He did have 6 assists, but with his size and his ability, like 5 turnovers just should not. It's just too much. But yeah, to your point, the quality players besides them, there's flashes from other guys. My one that I like, and he's not there yet, but I really like, is Diamande. He's got more minutes tonight. He does give you energy. He's trying. He gives you some hustle plays. Now he's a little bit raw. He has some of his timing on certain plays, on rebounds or attempts at blocks and things. It seems like he's a little bit slow in trying to read that, or maybe out of position a little bit. But his energy was there, and it looked like he cared. Moo Davis is just not who we thought he was going to be. We all watched the highlights, and that is the exact type of player that I was excited for. I thought he was going to be my favorite. Moet Mag was one of my favorites on last year's team, and I thought Moo Davis was going to be that guy this year, and he just isn't. So I don't know. My question for you guys, I want to hear this in the chat. I'm surprised there's as many of you on here tonight as there was, or as there is. I guess we're all just frustrated at this point. But we were talking about this last night on the show. You go back and catch that if you want. But I'm curious to know if you could bring any player from last year's team onto this year's team, who would it be and why? I'm kind of curious to hear what you guys think. While you think about that, I'm going to go through some of these comments. There was one possession where we had 5 guys guarding 2 people and gave up a wide open 3. And defensive breakdowns like that happen constantly. It's not good. Guys look completely lost. Their backs are often turned the wrong way. You got guys not rotating or rotating to the wrong guy. And so you get 2 guys guarding the same defender while one is wide open. It's just, you have guys having their best shooting night of their life. And I know there's the law of averages. I know that, and I believe in that. Like, you let them shoot enough, eventually things are going to come back down to earth. However, in one game, when a guy has rhythm, I feel like, sure, maybe you get to the next game, things are going to come back down to earth. But in the game that you're playing, guys are going to get hot. They're going to get confident. And it's just, don't let them, like, from the get-go, just shut these guys down and make them beat you on the inside. The problem is we don't have anyone on the interior that's really a threat. Yet, Kaba does great, great highlight blocks all the time, although it's been less and less lately. He does that all the time, but he also gets beat on defense quite a bit. And so he does those great, exciting blocks, but nobody's really keeping people out of the paint. And I don't really need to get into Ahmet there. I know he's everyone's favorite to hate. So no heart on this team, says Alex T. I agree. They, especially even when Richie was in, at least it felt like there was something, but without Richie, absolutely not. Maybe locker room issues, maybe a coaching issue, possibly, but this is the same team that coached last year, and they figured it out and felt like this coaching staff had it. I don't know, but it's not good basketball right now. It's just not. It's just not good basketball, and it sucks. I heard someone point out, the team was, in terms of record, was in a similar place last year at this time, and look what they did. That's true, but last year's team had some sort of cohesion. And granted, there was a point in February last year that was things looked very, very bleak. The problem is we're much deeper into the season this year, and they're very bleak, and we don't have Richie Saunders. So, I at this point, I think this is who this team is. Now, they'll, they're still being projected as a 6 seed. That's great, but 6-11 seeds, that 6-11 matchups. I mean, that's an upset waiting to happen, and I just don't have a lot of faith at this team. Now, maybe they figure something else out. Maybe it clicks. You still have AJ. They could go on a little run in the tournament. It is possible, but I just don't see it. I think it's more likely that this is a hot upset pick for that first round, and that it is what it is. And I think why it hurts so bad, even worse than last year, is that the expectations are so high, and they should be. We had AJ DeBonsa. We had a lot of guys coming. We had a lot of things going our way, and we knew, hey, hope an injury happens and this team's going to be in trouble. But barring that, to one of our main guys, obviously we had other injuries. Now Dawson Baker, he went down. I still thought, this team still should have had enough. Dawson Baker, I love what he brings, but he's also a bit streaky, like most of the guys on the bench. So they just never really figured it out. We kept waiting for it to happen. And it's, the team set the expectations, and the media and us, all of us as fans. And it's just, it is what it is at this point. You have AJ DeBonsa and Richie Saunders last season, and the fact that it went like this just feels like such a waste. The great news that we get Bruce Branch, the third coming to BYU, committing officially. His name's been tied to the program for a while, and that is a positive sign, because I was really worried with seeing the way this team has performed this year, that maybe that would hurt our chances of being able to get other high-level recruits going forward. Even if AJ doesn't, and I saw the opposite on Twitter saying, without AJ coming to BYU, kind of giving other players permission to do it, showing that it's okay. A guy of his caliber, he completely changed the way BYU is viewed. That is a lasting impact, even if this team, loses in the first round of the tournament, whatever, and it feels like a lost season, a squandered season. I still think that impact is going to be huge, and it shows today with being able to still recruit high-level guys. We just need to see them continue to build out the roster with those Richie Saunders types, and get other dudes around them that can play and that are ready to go out and play in the ball, and give those starting guys real support, and also the team continuity from year over year, because those guys that are one and done, and AJ, no matter what he says online, he's not coming back another year. He's going to the NBA. He's going to be one of the top 3 picks in the NBA, if not number 1 overall. And he's going to go make lots of money. He's going to go have his career. He's not coming back to college. It's just not happening. Having said that, it's great to have those high-level talent guys, but you've got to have the guys with the continuity in between. You got to have those guys that are sticking around 3-4 years to build around. And I think that is a big thing. And I'm just wondering who on this roster is going to be around next year. And we'll get into that. I don't want to start thinking about next year and the roster at this point too much. But you look around, it's like, man, these guys, of course, some of these guys could come back. You have Dawson Baker, maybe he comes back for another one. Diamande, maybe with a year under his belt, he kind of starts putting it together. Have some other guys that are there, but you really need to start seeing that these guys step up, and it's not happening this year. All right, Wise Gamora, is it time to admit KY has failed? Depends on what you mean has failed. I mean, are you putting this season as a coaching failure? I mean, you have to on some level. You have that much talent and they don't do it. Obviously, there's coaching, but point to what you know what's happened with the coaching, and it's hard to say because none of us are there in the locker room. None of us are there at the practices to be able to say, what's going on, what's happening with this team. But this is the same team coaching staff that helped that team last year figure things out and make a great run to the Sweet 16. So, but yes, it does feel like a failure, and you have to include coaching into that because it seems to be going wrong on all levels. It's just hard to say what it is. But yeah, if the way this team has gone, there's been injuries, and you can use that as a little bit of an excuse. But when you have a guy like AJ, uh, yeah, there's certainly blame to go around on everybody. But the season's not over yet, so I don't know what the point is in pointing fingers at KY other than, hey, we need to see more next year. And I think they'll learn a lot from the season and hopefully be able to improve on that. Is it the team or coach? I mean, when I watch the guys out there, it's the teams. Like, the players got to play, but you can't say that the coaching staff isn't involved in that either. These guys don't look ready. They look confused. Now maybe the coaching staff has done everything these guys can't learn. Is it their scouting? Are they not able to scout these guys that they can't put it together? They inherited a lot of the guys from Pope. They brought in some guys, but Yegor wasn't even. It was Travis Hansen that kind of connected them with Yegor, right? So what you could say that. But then they brought in AJ, but maybe the rest of these guys, it's the supporting cast. They missed on a lot of these guys. And maybe it's not these guys. Maybe it is the coaching staff not being able to put together a cohesive game plan for them. Maybe the practices, I don't know. So I don't know. I think there's enough blame to go around for everybody. That's where my stance is on this. And at this point, no point in throwing KY under the bus. We were lucky to have him and the coaching staff, and they've shown they're going to continue to bring in high-level recruits. Let's just hope that they can piece something together from the rest of the season, get a few more good moments, and maybe something else to cheer for the rest of this, and then have AJ just talking great about BYU for the rest of his career, keeping BYU on the map and continue to bring in good players. So I don't know. I guess at this point, I'm just wondering, how's baseball season looking? Let's get excited about that. All right, what else? They are doing something right. They recruited Bruce Brown. Well, exactly. The coaching staff they've shown that, and that's something that gives me a lot of hope, is that they've shown that they can still recruit some of these high-level guys despite what's happening with the season right now. So that does give me a vote of confidence. But if they're not able to build a team around that kind of talent and get a cohesive game plan, and it's just an offense where it's, feed them the ball over and over and everyone kind of stops, I'm not into that. I stopped watching the NBA. I stopped watching because everyone's just foul hunting. And I don't mind a guy who's good at drawing fouls. But when getting the fouls is the number one point, when everyone just stops and watches and everyone's out of sync, and then if they do get a shot, it's because the ball's coming to them late in the shot clock or, off a bad pass or whatever, and you're just looking for them to try to bail you out after you've held the ball the whole possession. That's less exciting to me, and they've got to figure something out and get these guys. And I don't think it's because AJ hasn't bought in. He seems like a guy who is bought in. And if anything, he reminds me a little bit more of LeBron, where sometimes he passes it when he shouldn't. Now, they're not always great passes, as we talked about. He had, 5 turnovers tonight? But he, I don't know. It's just they've got to figure something out. And I think at this point, I don't know if there's any more solutions. They've tried things, and people know how to not shut AJ down, because he's still getting points. What do you get? 23 points, but that's a slow night for him, and it was off of 21 shots. So I'm not. People know how to get into AJ, mess with him, and make him work for it, and knowing that nobody else is really going to be able to step up. So it is what it is. I'm just wondering, is it too late to get Cannon Catchings back on this team? Is it too late this season? Because from what I saw, he dropped 36 tonight. We all know he has those occasional games in him, but boy, sure could have used that tonight. We don't have anyone off the bench able to do anything close to that. Going back to my question, though, who would I like to have on this team from last year? I mean, you look at it, backup ball handling and somebody who's not afraid of the moment. You got Dallin Hall. You have Keba Keita from last year. I want Richie Saunders from last year. Whether we still had a healthy Richie Saunders this year or not, I'd take 2 Richie Saunders on this team. But, I mean, a guy like Moet Mack, just somebody that can play confident defense, shut people down, and hit threes at least relatively consistently would be fantastic. I would love to see Yegor back, and he would be Demon because it's at BYU. Yegor Demon back on the team. I really thought before this season that I was like, well, obviously we want to go to the NBA, have a good career, go do that. Like, great, go get drafted. That's the right thing. And then we got Rob Wright. I think he's a better fit along AJ. And now I'm not so sure. I mean, with Doman, I don't expect, had he come back, I don't expect that he would have been hitting threes at the clip that he's hitting in the NBA. Obviously, he struggled with some of the physicality in the NBA, but man, his ability to see the floor and the passes that he could make, and I felt like he played with the team and he helped make his teammates better. We just lack that. And as flashy as Rob Wright is at times with just some great plays, he makes some equally head-scratching plays. And so that's kind of everybody on this team. Even AJ has some of those. He is fewer than everybody else. I mean, no one's perfect, but man, it's just I don't know. We really could use a shot in the arm, though, but I just don't think KY has anyone left to turn to. Let's see here. KY might have to learn the same hard lesson Kalani had to learn a few years ago. A team of hired guns with no ties to BYU besides NIL check might not be the best way to build things. I don't know if it's so much the ties to BYU or whatnot. I mean, you do want to get guys in there in terms of the culture and but those guys that stick around, I think it's more about the continuity. And it was a lot of new guys, and the guys that were holdover outside of Richie and Keita were, I'm trying to look here, who else? I mean, and Boscovich, who's been more or less the same. These guys were new to the roster. And so I think it's just continuity. And that's why I say it's so important that, bring in Bruce Brown. Awesome. Bring in Dean Ruckert, all these guys, bring them in, yes, but also bring in guys that are going to be around 3 or 4 years, that understand the culture, that want to be part of the culture and help build something great. This team was barely functioning with Richie because he could be somewhat of a leader. Yeah, they seem to lack the leadership. And, he had surgery, when they beat Iowa State, he was there on the sideline with the team. Maybe that's what they need. They just need him on the sideline to be barking at people and coaching them up and providing his energy that way. BYU players are talented enough to be great. They do not know how to communicate. None of them are leaders. They are too individual. All that's true. It's all true. And somebody has to step up. I think AJ's trying. He's doing his best, but he's also doing everything else. Somebody has to step up. You can tell these guys, everybody's afraid to get the ball. And then when they get it, it's forced because they rarely have that chance. And they either just quickly pass it and don't take opportunities that they should, or it feels like they go for opportunities when they shouldn't. And it's just completely out of rhythm. And there's no leadership. It's really frustrating. You're right. The talent is there. If we could see something against Texas Tech and in the Big 12 tournament that shows that this team's kind of figured something out, that they can play cohesively, it would give me a glimmer of hope that with enough, BYU has enough talent, especially with AJ, that they could make a little bit of a run in March Madness. But I think more likely than not, this is a team that gets bounced early. I do not see them making it into the second weekend. And so I've waited almost a year, as we all have, for this time of year with AJ and crew to see what they would do. And now I'm dreading it. It's here and I'm dreading it. And I guess lesson learned. So, yes, AJ is trying because KY is asking. AJ cannot do everything, though. As you said, he was out of his rhythm today because he was literally doing everything. He was. And he was trying. Now, I've seen him out of position on defense. I've seen him give lackluster closeouts or attempts and times that he's been lost as well. But you see him. I do think he's trying most of the time that he's out there. He's also got to be gassed because he's handling the ball. He's doing everything on offense, and so that he's got to conserve energy somewhere. And some of that's going to be on the defensive end. And I don't know. Yeah, he can't do everything, and somebody else has to step up. You can see Moo Davis is getting frustrated out there, but he's not doing it. Like he came in to be that guy. He's to be that glue guy to fill all those cracks, to play defense, and just kind of, hey, you don't have to do too much on offense. Just hit some threes and play within the offense because they're gonna be closing out on this big three, and we just need you to just kind of fill in. And he hasn't been able to do that. He's been one of the biggest head scratchers, and I don't know. So I'm really glad Diamante's gotten more minutes. Boop in the starting lineup, but he still looks tentative at times. So I don't know. These guys just really, everybody looks scared. The moment's too big for all of them, and I don't know. At this point, this team looks pretty cooked. Kostic has a potential to replace Saunders. He is not trusted by the team yet. Kostic will be better than Davis next year. Yeah, he hustles. He gives energy. I don't think he'll ever have the defensive, ceiling that Davis was supposed to have, and he has at moments. But he has the energy. He has the gumption, and you can tell AJ trusts him a bit. AJ's relying on him. I think they're building a little bit of chemistry, so I'm excited to see more of him. And I'd like to see. Actually, he had 29 minutes tonight, so not bad. 14 points. Again, most of that off of threes, but that's what you need, right? That's what this team needs is some threes to start opening things up and stretching the floor. Make them pay for collapsing on AJ and doubling and tripling AJ. He's going to get the fouls off guys, even if he can't get this shot off. He's going to make him pay for overplaying him. But at some point, you've got to be open and you've got to be ready to hit those shots. And he has been. And so really like him gaining some confidence. And this is where my complaint is with the coaching staff. I'm sure there's other things behind the scenes that we haven't seen or in terms of game plan or whatever. But my big thing is earlier in the season, enough of these guys did not get a chance to play. And I think it's KY's. He keeps everyone on a short leash until you can prove you deserve to be out on the floor. But you look at Moo Davis, and maybe some of this is just managing the locker room and trying to keep people engaged. But he seems like a guy that could have been pulled a long time ago. And I wasn't out on him as early as everyone else because I remembered Mwit Mag. People were kind of out on him earlier in the season, and I wasn't. I was like, give him a chance. I think he's got that potential, and he did. He came through, and you go back to March Madness and just what he did there. So I thought that was going to be Moo, and I was like, I'm not out on him. At the Clemson game at MSG, I sat next to his dad for a few minutes and talked with him briefly, and I was just like, yeah, we love him. He's gonna be great. And I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm just frustrated with him, and you can tell he's frustrated. But to my point, KY is too quick to pull some of these guys sometimes, especially in games when they're out of reach or that it's an inferior opponent that you can afford to give these guys a few more minutes, give them a stretch, let them build some confidence. And instead you make one mistake or something happens. Sometimes I didn't even feel like it was that player's fault necessarily. And they get pulled and boom, somebody else is back in. And granted, I get it. You want to get your starters as much time as possible to build chemistry, but that also means the rest of the guys, your supporting cast, aren't building chemistry. They're not getting that chance to develop. They're not getting that chance to get those game reps and be in the moment. So I don't know. That has been my biggest. That was my biggest complaint. Nowadays, you don't really have that same luxury. Although you're also at the point where it's kind of like they were later in the game. You got Russ getting some minutes and the small ball lineups and things, because it's like, what else are you going to do? You got to try something, and nothing worked. So I don't know, but it's late. Tuesday night, I just had to get all these things off my chest. Oh wait, let's see. We got another comment, and then we'll wrap up here. But it says, I hope the coaches help players teach what not to do, things that loses games. I feel they are focusing on what they can do to win. As a volleyball coach, better coaches know to train what not to do. Yeah, these guys do seem unprepared for many moments, even though it continually happens again and again. It's a great thing, a great point, and hopefully they are working on those things with this team. But these players also have to be able to show that they can learn and apply these things that have been that the coaching staff's working with them on, because this coaching staff is too good. I can't believe it. I don't know. I can't believe they haven't covered so many of these things, that they haven't been over all these things that we're seeing as casual fans here on the sidelines, watching through TV or at the game, whatever. They know way more than the rest of us, and they're closer to this team. I can't believe that they haven't gone over all this stuff. So, and that's why I'm hesitant to put. I do think the coaching staff has plenty of blame for this season, but I'm hesitant to put it all on them, because at the end of the day, it's these players, and I know these players getting put around in the ringer, and some of these things that they've done on defense and some of the lack of hustle are not things that this coaching staff has taught. I know that this coaching staff has taught and worked with these guys on what to do, and maybe they haven't told them what not to do and how to avoid certain situations, but and on and off the court, right? But anyway, appreciate everyone coming in, hopping in the chat tonight. I really wasn't going to do this, and I was just so frustrated watching this game. It's been a while since I've enjoyed watching a BYU game. I mean, Iowa State, that was fun. But outside of that, even other wins, it's always fun to win, but haven't been truly enjoyable. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. I'm not writing it off yet. I'm just going to enjoy what we have, because this is, despite what he says, our lone season with AJ DeBonsa. So I'm just trying to take all that in and just enjoy it all for what it is at this point. So again, thanks for watching. I'll probably be on, even though it's super late. I'm East Coast, but probably be on after the Texas Tech game, unless it's just another outcome like this. Maybe not. But we'll definitely be doing coverage throughout the Big 12 tournament, March Madness, obviously. So, and also start looking ahead to spring ball and football as well, because it's never too early to start covering that. So be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Go Cougs.